call you a fake airplane. You are a real airplane.
Yeah, I'm on my old laptop. Was trying to use it because it's actually been working pretty good during the like the Friday videos I've been doing. So I thought I'd give it a try tonight and see how it does. If it's terrible, if it stinks, I won't do it no more. But
Well, just don't open anything.
well, I've got everything open that I need to ruin, so we should be okay.
Okay, well, we'll see how it goes.
Yeah, let's work it. Well, I wasn't doing hair and makeup, guys. I have changed my setup. Let me pop a picture, and I'll see if I can throw it in the live. So I've got my little work area. I moved the TV around. I've got my other wall insulated. I have been working. Now I got plenty of lights, man. I got extra lights. I put some extra ones over there. But I am on wireless, but it's not the internet. I've got more than adequate internet. I checked that on this machine before I started to do this. This is the same machine I use on Friday nights that everybody was saying that the lives look better. So I figured out, I think, what the problem is. Is my resolution up like it's supposed to be? Is it? I mean, I'm using the ZV, so.
Yeah, I mean, it seems to be okay on my end. So
Cool.
But,
Well, I can't. I got too much monitors up here, guys. I can't. I can't move it around. My workspace has gotten small over here because I'm trying to do some stuff over on the other side of the shop to give me a little more room. And so I just thought I'd try this this approach. I can get a boom and make the camera sit out here in front of me, but right now I don't have a long enough boom to do that, and I didn't want to really set it right here by the laptop, so I set it over here so I talk to you guys this way. Oh, it's a work in progress. What can I say?
Well, I don't know. I think you're going to have to deal with any of the comments. I can't seem to click on any and highlight them, but Norbert wants to know if you've spread rose petals on the shop floor.
No. Oh man, this is it's cool in here. This ain't mood lighting. This is well, it is a mood, but not that kind of not that kind of thing. And I don't have one of my green shirts on because I was working outside today, and I changed and I forgot to change before the live because I was so busy working on all this stuff. So I've got one of my old drone shirts on today, but yeah, I think it'll let me. It'll let me do it. Well, how's everybody? Oh,
I'm finally in a t-shirt. It's somewhat warm out.
Yeah, Brian says that your stream looks excellent tonight. I'm not gonna comment on it. Not gonna comment.
Yeah, I don't know. I may look a little extra red tonight. I've been outside the past 2 days doing my airplane thing, and as someone said yesterday, are these the real airplanes or insinuating that they were fake airplanes?
Well, no, I said I said I said, was it real airplanes or RCs? I didn't mean, I misused the word real, okay? I misused the word real. Oh, but I've got it set up now to where I can actually have two monitors and in a workable format without having to sit over at my table. And that's what y'all see behind me is something that you're not used to seeing. That's the other side of the shop, opposite of where I normally would be sitting. And I'm going to do some better mounting with the camera, but since everybody's been giving me a hard time about video being clearer, I decided to use this EV1 tonight and see how it worked with this machine instead of the whatever the other one is, stream.
Sure.
Stream.
Yeah.
So,
well, outside of that,
worked, guys.
Yeah, outside of that, I have spent some time out here. I launched the my initial video on the Whizmaker 20-watt machine. So that's been out a couple days. And I've actually been working on another actual project, a non-review project. So I'm hoping to finish that up here and get that out there as well. But I've also been playing around off and on with that IKEA machine. That's kind of it's got some similarities to your Two Trees one with the autofocus, the stepper motor on the Z-axis, so you can enable the Z-axis adjustments as well. And it's actually the other cool thing is that it does not have any of those your typical wheels, those wheels and eccentric nuts. It's got linear rails and linear rods everywhere. So that's kind of a nice advancement. So I'm looking forward to do a little more playing with that and get some information out on that soon.
Yeah, that sounds a lot.
Pretty interesting machine.
Uh-oh. I added that to the wrong one. I was trying to add an image into the feed, but I clicked on the wrong one. It won't let me do it until I swap it over. So give me just a second. I'll see if I can put this picture up here for y'all. This is what I've been working on. I gotta get it loaded. I'm having to do it crazy like. But it has been a weekend here. I have been tore my shop apart, put it back together, moved everything around, the whole 9 yards. Okay, now it switches me over to it. Let me see if I can get this thing on the screen for you. Fit the screen there. All right. So that is what I have been doing. Let me make it bigger where you can see it. But that's what I've been working on right there. That is where I am sitting now. I've got everything set up between the two machines, new work area. So hopefully it'll work out for me in the long run once I have a chance to fix everything. Oh, where'd Steve go? But my next step is to bring the other laptop out here and set it up. And then I'm going to get me a little mini PC for inside the house. But I just wanted to check to see if this was which this laptop. I got to look at it. It's actually got an i7 in it, so I was like, "Well, heck, I'm going to try it and see if it works." And so far, I guess it does.
So Josh is asking what we use to edit videos for YouTube. He's got zero video editing experience. Is wondering what we use and point him in the right direction. For
I think we both.
Yeah, I think right now both of us use Adobe Premiere Rush, which is you can get in a variety of ways, but you got to pay for Adobe Creative Suites at some level, or Adobe Express to get that. If someone's just getting started, if you're shooting on an iPhone, just use what do they have? iMovie right on your iPhone. You can do simple edits there. You can upload it. I know some very successful YouTubers that they primarily shoot and sometimes edit right off their iPhone, and so that's free just to start playing around and whatnot. But as you get more into it, you might start finding some limitations. So.
Yeah, I used iMovie for a long time on my iPad Pro, and it done a really good job. But you will get to the point, and I think that's what made you and me both go over to Adobe, is you'll get to the point where you want to do some things and you want to customize a little more than what iMovie will allow. And that's when you got to move over to Adobe or some of the other softwares that are out there. There's a lot of good software, but Adobe to me was a no-brainer because I use Photoshop and I use Adobe Creative Cloud to produce thumbnails and stuff like that. It was just one more Adobe license to add to the stack of already existing license.
Yeah.
But
yeah, I would definitely start out with something that's hopefully free with equipment you already have, because the equipment can help make a good movie better, but it's not going to make a bad movie good. That starts with having good content, and I would say, if anything, work on sound before higher quality video. So if you're working off your iPhone, get a Bluetooth mic to like a little lapel mic, and that'll things out quite a bit. So unless you just want to do voiceovers afterwards, but
Yeah, I'm actually running a shotgun mic tonight. I don't have the. I've got my little shotgun mic set up here with my fuzzy on it.
sure.
But I'm sitting still. I'm not moving around the shop either, and that's why I
Hmm.
went ahead and hooked it up. But no, I think they're talking about the stream too. The stream, the way the stream is, me and Steve use online software that we both basically log into the server remotely from our own locations, and then it goes from there. Uh, I'm hoping that mine's better tonight because I finally figured out where I was screwing up with my Streamlabs. Because I use Streamlabs for my switcher so that I can switch from my camera to my top screen to light burn and then back to my camera. I use Streamlabs for that. And I've got the Stream Deck that Steve inspired me to purchase, and I've got it set up to do that. Uh, and then I just feed the output from that into the software. And I found where I had made a mistake was there were some settings in Streamlabs that I didn't know existed. But I had a rainy day yesterday and got to playing around before I did that live and found those settings and went in and adjusted them. So works a
Sure.
little better. It seems to be working better from what I can see. I haven't looked at it on the online yet. Oh, there's your philosophical question, Steve.
Yeah, you're getting a little jump there. Sapwood in the project, yes or no? Um, I feel like I need to get a T-shirt that just say it depends. But um, if I'm doing something that's a little more natural and maybe live edge, sure, I'll leave it in there. If it's a piece of furniture where even the grain will accent it, and they're not looking for just a real clear, unobtrusive thing, then um, uh, if I want it to be kind of muted, then no, I won't put it in there. But if I want maybe the sapwood or the grain of the wood to kind of augment or bring out a piece, yeah, I'll definitely throw it in there. I've seen some really beautiful dining tables where they leave kind of that middle sapwood in there, and it just kind of breaks up a bland table and such. But um, I if the person has maybe a little more artistic flair to it, they'll appreciate it. But if they're just going for kind of more, I want this tone of wood, they're probably just going to want, the fairly clear, free of grain, free of knots, kind of stuff. So, but for this one, I might put it on the edges, but the centers I'll probably take out because some of these back here are going to become a dining room table for us. So I might have the sapwood out on the outsides, but have it fairly solid in the middle.
Yeah, I use it a lot. Most of my stuff is intended to be rustic, and the contrast between sapwood and heartwood when you stain it is it's kind of a big deal in the stuff that I build.
Mhm.
You want that contrast. So now there's a certain grain that I go for, which you know as well as I do. You can't usually find in Home Depot unless you spend 2 hours digging through the pile. Uh, but that's why when I'm cutting my wood on the sawmill, you know, I can stack those according. I can stack those furniture grade, everything else. Furniture grade, everything else. But
Yeah, that's where it's nice to either have your own sawmill accessibility and such, and be able to cut the wood the way you want it and like, or know someone that does that. Because your typical sawmill is not gonna they're gonna throw it out. They're gonna want just kind of the straight grain, no imperfections. Where some of these features that would be considered an imperfection can be actually accentuated and be a real feature and such. So
oh yeah, yeah. I actually do quarter saw some, but you waste a lot of wood when you're quarter sawing on the
yep.
sawmill. You waste a lot. But that's why if you go up to my mill right now, I've got stacks of like little randomly sized pieces of wood. And what that is when I'm trying to get rid of the sapwood or whatever, I'll just cut that off into a board. And if I need to patch something to chicken pen, or if I just need a board to to hold something together as a support that I'm working on, those are great for that. But uh, it's nice when you can go up there and just rotate that log and get the grain exactly the way you want it. Um, Especially when it's a project that like my wife's kitchen table, that thing. I sawed up a 60-foot white oak log and probably only used like 30% of it because I wanted to use as much standard just I wanted the medullary raised in it, but I also wanted some nice flat grain. And so I culled a lot of that wood and used it for like laser projects and stuff. Oh, but the table's still holding up, doing good. So I must have chose well. Engraving granite or marble. Have you ever done any of that, Steve? I've done slate. That's about as.
Yeah. Give me a second. I might have a sample. Um, see if it's in my magic drawer.
I'm gonna play with my lights while you're there. See, I've got me a little overhead light set up too, so I can actually turn the light up, or I can turn it down. Or I can make a party. Uh, what's up, Bob? Yeah, I've changed my lighting around, trying to get it to where I can use this area over here. And if I turn the lights on, it's so bright behind me that it just doesn't. I didn't like the way it looked. So I just been playing around with some lighting, trying to get it to where the camera will pick me up, but not the background's not just like so busy. And I really don't want to have to like put a screen up or anything like that. So
Well,
what's up? What's up, Jason? Wait. Hey, Steve.
Oh,
Steve.
yeah.
Yeah,
So yeah, you can pick up like the granite and the marble like samples at most. Well, maybe not the samples, but usually they'll let you buy one or two tiles. I had one that was, or a couple that I had messed with, more so on the CO2, but you can play around with it on the diodes based on color. Usually, what it does is it'll come out as kind of a white frosted look, and so definitely looking at that, whether that contrast will be enough. I would say it's similar to glass, where you kind of want to find the right settings where it frosts it, but if you get too much power, it starts kind of fracturing it more, and that can be a little bit of an issue. So I thought I had a sample of it that I messed with, but I'm not seeing it right now. So
well, hello, Gail. Yeah, I haven't fooled with any granite or marble or anything. I have done, like I said, a lot of slate. Uh, but I just don't. I don't know. I guess maybe like a certain type of like desk decorations or stuff. I guess you could use for like a little piece of granite or something.
yeah, it's very much like engraving slate, where you're just kind of trying to find that right power setting to get the look you're going for that doesn't get too gritty or burnt look to it. So it's definitely possible on the diodes within reason. I mean, some of the lighter colors are obviously going to maybe have a little bit of a bigger issue doing it, but
I might have to look into getting me a piece to play around with. We've got a company in town that makes like headstones and stuff. I wonder if they ever like break one and have like leftover pieces.
yeah, sometimes there's that. If you have a Habitat for Humanity restore kind of thing, where people will bring older materials, or construction companies bring like leftovers and they donate them and then they resell them. We have one of those in town that's really nice to go find sample material of just random stuff real cheap. Otherwise, sometimes you can find just tile pieces like granite backsplash. They'll have like the 4x8 or so sections that you can play around with. They're not too expensive, so or you can go
Yeah,
buy a big granite slab.
I don't think I'm gonna be doing that just to do testing on. I
It's
believe
a
I'll
it's a
pass on that.
it's a write off. Do a video on it. It's a write off.
Well, right now, all this insulation and air conditioning has about written off everything I've got to write off there, Steve. I mean, I'm just
Right.
trying to stay cool down here. And so I was telling my wife today, I'm not as worried about winter here because we don't have extreme winters. So as far as my heater goes, I think it'll do great this winter.
Hmm. Oh
But
yeah, you'll be
our
fine.
our summer times will put a air conditioning unit to the test. So I'm just trying to prepare for July and August.
Well, well, we'll see how July and August go because I'll well let's see what the shop thermometer looks like right now.
Well,
64 degrees.
well, well, it's 76 in the shack right now, apparently,
Yeah,
according to my little.
the low in here for the past day has been 55. Today it did get up to in the 80s outside, and I have no active cooling in here right now, so it got up to 64 degrees in here.
Okay, let me change that. It's actually 72.8. This was laying beside the exhaust port of my laptop. So it's not exactly correct. But check out this cool little box here that holds my thermostat. It's got these two little holes that you hang it. I just got to put it back up. I took it down when I was doing the construction a while ago.
Nice.
Yep. A lot of laser made stuff laying around here. I don't know where it comes from. All right. Well, what about some questions or any more comments, concerns?
Well, oh, hey, maybe this is working for me now. Bob's asking about working with epoxy, like a deep pour.
Mm.
I've done it. I haven't done like a, like people do the river tables where they mask it off and then they make a big chunk just out of epoxy. I have used epoxy to do things like filling knot holes or other imperfections. And so, yeah, you definitely want to get the right stuff for that. That's a slow curing deep pour. And but I don't engrave into them afterwards. I have also played around with, done mostly more on the CNC router, but you engrave in your text or whatever, and then you go back and you fill it in. You can do that with paint, but a lot of people will do it with, colored epoxy. And so that can be fun. And then, you'll just sand down the top layer to clean it off, and then you can polish that back up. So I have played around with it. It's a little tricky, and you got to get used to it to make sure that your epoxy cures. Otherwise, when you go to clean it up, it's still a gummy mess. That can be a real disheartening experience. So you want to make sure you follow the mixing instructions correctly and mix it really well. And before you and if it's a new type, I'd probably do it on a test piece first. So
Yeah. Yeah, I've done some small ones. Like I said, I've never poured anything probably deeper than, I don't know, eighth of an inch to a quarter of an inch at the thickest. And I've had some really good luck with that, but I haven't done any of the deep stuff like what you're talking about either. Because epoxy costs a lot more than wood, so
it does. It's not cheap. Yeah.
so it doesn't really make sense to me unless just I don't know. I guess if that's just the look that you want to go for, uh, then I guess so. But like if you wanted to put a coin in a table or something like that, it doesn't take a lot of epoxy to cover that up. I've had guys ask me about doing plaque with a challenge coin and then like make it into it and stuff like that. And you just take the laser, measure the coin, and then burn a recess into the material, and then just glass it over with some epoxy. And those turn out, good, but I haven't done anything deep.
Yeah. I'm just curious about those, like 5, 10 years down the road, because epoxy can have a tendency to yellow over time.
Yeah.
And so, you know, 1 second. I got to check the plug.
Mm. Well, Johnny, that's good to know as far as the mini split goes. But now y'all got to understand, this was a pole barn. This literally was just nothing but a frame with tin on it when I started doing woodworking and started the Clack Shack. And so I'm having to go back and add insulation and fix things to where it'll be a little more energy efficient. So it's not exactly energy efficient here. I had so much air going out that other wall. I'm surprised the air conditioner was even working because all I've got is those boards that you see behind me back there. Those are off my sawmill, and as you can see, they're like pages in a book because I should have flipped them around or spun them or something, but I didn't. I didn't pay attention to it when I put them up, so like all the knots match. But behind that, before I put the insulation in, was nothing but just tin. So I had to go outside, take the tin off, put the insulation in, and put the tin back on the building. Uh, and it's sealed better than it was, but it's still not going to be perfect.
You might have something for this. Ballpark to start the power test on the Cermark with glass and stainless on a 10 watt.
Let me see what I got for my 10 watt. Hang on. And it's just one thing about being on this machine is I've got all my stuff on here.
I feel like I need to have the Jeopardy music going in the background for you.
Well, I thought I had it. I thought I had it dictated in here, but apparently I didn't. Cermark on metal, I've got that, and I think that's the same thing that I use on glass because you're not really trying to mark the glass, you're trying to engage the
Right.
Cermark.
Yeah.
I've got 100% at 70 millimeters per second. It says I've tested it 14 times, so that should ballpark it. But I would still do my own testing, guys. But 100 millimeters, 100% at 70 millimeters a second. I don't even know if my soundboard's working tonight. Hang on. Oh, did it work?
No.
I was going to say, I think I got it turned off. I heard it.
Yeah, Brian, no, he doesn't give me access to that, but I could set up my own if I wanted to, but
Yeah, I've got it. I haven't got it connected back. My computer was struggling a bit earlier with all the stuff I had going. So, I might, but don't want to chance it. I'll have to play around with that later. But 100% at 70 millimeters a second, I would test that though. Don't take my word for it because I can't remember what it did on glass. But that's what I've got written down for Cermark to get the black market.
So, did you notice Atom Stack is coming out with a module upgrade that adds the air assist functionality for the is it M7 or M8 control?
I hadn't seen that.
Yeah, they posted that. It's basically replaces the entire module, and then it has a port that plugs into the. It's kind of like an inline adapter for the power outlet on the air assist. So they're adding that it's supposed to be backwards compatible with everything from an A5 on up to the X7, X20, X30, S30 Pro stuff.
Yeah. Well, that'll be interesting to see.
Yeah, I mean it's nice that they're making it in a way that you don't have to just buy a whole new laser to get that functionality in it. So.
Yeah, but I think the computer's doing all right considering it is an older machine. But out here, I thought I could probably pull it off one, but using way too much resources because this thing's actually got. Let's see, what have I got? This has only got 16 gigs of no. Wait a minute. Yeah, 16 gigs of RAM. My other one's got 32. This is an i7 6700 2.6. So it's a little slower than my other one. But now that I know that this setup is going to work, I might bring it out here and move some computers around.
And Johnny pointed out they also have a screw height adjuster option for them as well. I see that's on pre-order, and it's only a $40 option. So,
for like a Z-axis.
Yep.
I foresee that within the next 3 or 4 months, all the new machines will have a Z-axis and probably compatibility with the M8. I think that's coming.
Well, their module is just it's just a hand screw. It's not the automated one yet, but I'm sure that could be easy to adapt that design for them to step that into their next one. So,
yeah. I just noticed my video broke up on my phone over here. So, I'm gonna have to play musical laptops. Bring the other one out here.
So yeah, so some interesting things being announced and coming out for those. I haven't heard when the Acer L2s are supposed to be shipping, but hopefully sometime this month.
Well, there's a
It's
couple of
getting towards
people
the end of the month
apparently.
here.
Yeah, there's a couple of people apparently that didn't wait on the go ahead for the
Mhm.
video, and have started dropping them. I and to check, hey, did I miss some email or whatever? And I haven't heard back, but I think that's just a couple of guys that decided they wanted to have it of because I don't want to get a bad reputation when it comes to that.
Well, no, when they actually ask you to, to not release it till a certain date, I'm definitely going to honor that. But sometimes they put no, they don't mention it until they're like, oh, we'd like to view it before you launch it. And like, well, we didn't talk about that at all. I'm sorry, it's already out there. So,
Yeah.
but
Well, I'm hoping within the
and
next. I'm hoping that next week or so I can start getting some videos out with it. I mean, I've been using it; it's working great. I've got a project I want to do with it. I'm gonna finish up some work on the picture that I did of me and Max, and I think I'm gonna do the finishing touches on it with that machine possibly if I can. So, but if they don't give me a date, then I may just go ahead and do it on two trees.
and the initial orders, and I think Jim was mentioning he's waiting on his. The X-Tool P2s have been showing up on people's doorsteps this week as well. So they'll be in the hands of the average person now. And so we'll have to see how people like them.
Mm, I'm curious to see. I just I'm curious to see how that works out. I'll just call myself optimistic. Let's go. How about that? That work?
Sure, you sure you're being optimistic?
Yeah. Well, I think that it has some cool features, but just like with everything, I think there's going to be people buy it and not understand the complexity that comes with trying to use those features, and they're going to get frustrated with it. That's why a lot of people, I think, like my buddy Klein, he doesn't really care for the power Z axis and all that, but he wants it just straightforward and simple. Uh, Me, I like it, but I'm a bit of a gear junkie, or so I've been accused. You know, but I like that stuff. But some folks don't. They don't. They don't need it. I guess what I could say because they're not going to use it, and it's just going to complicate the situation and cause frustration with some people. Now,
Yeah.
if it's something that you're going to use and you're comfortable doing it, then I think it's a good thing. Just depends.
Um, yeah. I mean, the CO2 machines just inherently do have more complexity to them. There's more that needs to get set up. There's more that needs to be tuned in. And there are more things then that can also go wrong. And then when you get these machines that are trying to be somewhat user friendly, that can mean they self protect themselves with errors that you have to figure out. Okay, well, why is it not starting? And their displays have minimal on them. One thing that bugs me is when it's like it's a button or a light that changes color. So you have to base it on the color. Well, first off, I know people who are colorblind. That makes it a little difficult for them to diagnose their machine. I always like it where you should at least have some sort of console that, even if it's not on the machine, hopefully it's sending that information into XCS or Lightburn so that you can open that up and actually get an error code or text or something telling you. Because yeah, it's going to try to protect itself from overheating or lack of water flow, things like that they do try to protect themselves, but then you need to be able to diagnose those and figure out why. So I think you're right. I think there's some people are going to get frustrated with a little extra complexity to them. But it'll be interesting to see what people can create with them and how well they do work. So,
Okay. Yeah, Anthony, I'm used to the whole email them one day and hear back from them the next. That's kind of the way that works. They like to send out emails while I'm asleep, so I just send it, and whenever I get it, I get it. I did adjust. Let me know, Steve, if you see anything different. I did adjust the processing speed on my feed. See if that takes a little strain. I apparently was over processing. See if that takes strain off my laptop.
All right. Well, it's seeming smooth right now, so we'll see how it goes. But
There's only one way. There's only one way to check this kind of stuff. You know how it is. I could test it for days, and then the minute we got into a live, it wouldn't work right. Yeah, there's a lot of Brian. There's a lot of aftermarket high adapters out there, and I have mixed feelings about those. I think they're a good thing, but you're almost always going to lose some of your bed space because you're adding another layer to the distance between the mounting apparatus and the module. So you're almost always going to lose a little workspace. And me and Steve have said before that you start throwing too much weight on that thing, you're going to get outside the bounds of what it's kind of designed for. Am I missing something, Steve?
I mean, who doesn't remember the 3-cylinder wonder of the Geo Metro?
Most everybody in here, I think, probably does. Unless we've picked up some younger fans that I'm not aware of. most of us older folks with all this silver hair in our beards remember them.
So yeah, asking about getting colors from the D1 Pro on metals. So yes, you can get colors from most diodes. Now, if you're down in the 5-watt range, you're going to be limited because it's basically it's a temperature reaction in the stainless steel. So typically they advertise that on the 20-watt and up machines, but I'm sure on like the 10-watt you can still get a certain number of it. I haven't done a test grid. I did pick up a couple of inexpensive sheets of stainless steel to do some playing with some of the machines. I just haven't gotten around to it. And they're not going to be, they're kind of muted colors. They're not going to be overly vibrant, but you can definitely get, some blues and reds and yellows out of it and make some interesting artwork from that.
But you got to make sure you don't get it so hot as to cause it to warp or pit. That's the tricky part. That's the part nobody tells you about.
Yeah.
When they're showing these commercials about these folks making these colors show up on this material, they don't tell you how many times that they had to try to get the settings right. It's to me it's just not. I mean, it's more headache than it's worth. I've tried it, and I've got some colors, but I've also caused a lot of metal to expand and contract and twist and everything else, trying to dial it in right. So it's to me it's not really it's not really cost effective with a diode, in my opinion. All right, not seeing any more questions at the moment. CNC.
Yeah. Yeah, Brian, that's part of my thought too, with all the things that people like to add to the heads of some of these lighter weight lasers. I'm concerned about, the motion being still accurate. You're adding weight, and that's got to accelerate and decelerate that. It's got to move it around. I've seen some really strange designs for some fume extractors that sit on the head and are supposed to try to pull the air out right there as well.
Yeah, it's pulling it.
Some of them just look like disasters.
Yeah,
Yeah,
I've saw a couple of those.
if you look at the Ortur LaserMaster 3, they've got that head is so tiny and so lightweight, and that's they were one of the first ones to start pushing the machine a lot faster. And I hear they're coming out with a 22-watt module as well. So I'll be curious to see how much smaller theirs is compared to some of these other 20-watt modules we've been seeing on the lasers. I'm guessing similar vein, it's going to be lighter weight, but they're not going to want you to be adding a lot of accessories and such to that, just to kind of keep that accuracy and such.
Yeah. Well, Bob, good luck with your photo there. Let me know how it turns out. You can post in the laser engraver community page there, and let us see what it looks like when you get done. Y'all get to critique my work, so I can critique y'all. Everybody critiques it.
Yep.
Well, I'm gonna try to do an update for you guys, man. I tell you, I've had so much going on here. I've already got vegetables. We're fixing to start cutting some squash, and I've got some peppers and all that growing, and of course I've got some new bees that just showed up. I got a lot going on around here, but speaking of that, surviving the apocalypse, my self-sufficiency level went up a lot here in the past week or so.
Yeah, you'll have a lot of honey.
Yeah, more than I anticipated having. The form that came up, man, I don't know where they come from or what kind of bees they are, but man, they are taking off. Who's he talking to? AZ, if you're talking to me, yes, I have a. Don't make me lie. I can't remember the name of it. I did a video on it. If you go back and look at my last Monport video, I got all the parts and stuff in the description of that video. I want to say is it Cloud Ray maybe?
Yeah, I think that's one. There are
I don't
definitely
remember if
ones
that's
that make that.
Yeah, I went with two different ones, and I don't remember which one I liked because one of them I sent it back because I didn't like it. It wasn't like it just did not fit the way I wanted it to fit, so I sent it back. But there's a Cloud Ray and there was another one. I can't remember which one I used, but there is a video that I have that if you go back to my videos and just search for Monport, it'll be the most recent video on the Monport. It shows you all the updates and everything I did to it.
There's some kind of no-name ones that are. Now, did you have to install the mirror in the head, and was it blue? The one that
Yeah,
you ended up using?
both of them that I bought were blue. Let me see if I can look at my Amazon and see
Okay.
which one I bought last because I ordered two of them, and the one when it got here I put it in and I just did not like the fit. I couldn't get it tight enough, so I sent it back. Okay, yeah, the last one that I ordered is going to be Light Object is the name of it.
There you go.
That's the last one that the last one I got was a Light Object. What's the name of it? And if I can get it to go. But I tried the Cloud Ray. That's what it was, and I didn't like it, so I went with the Light Object. But that's the one I'm running right now. And the way it's set up, you can actually turn the air hose to whichever side you want because it's got more of a set screw type setup. But now, if you go to messing with that, you could ask Jason. If you change it out and put an air assist nozzle on there, you will have to line that mirror up. So just be prepared for that. The last mirror has to be swapped over into into the new assist, and you're probably, unless you get really really lucky, you're going to have to realign the last mirror. So you may want to check your alignment before you swap it out so you can make sure the rest of them are right, then swap it.
Yeah, and that mounting bracket is larger than the sleeve for even the stock head to fit into.
Mm-hmm.
So I would maybe take a Sharpie and give yourself some reference marks to where the current one is sitting, and even maybe put a vertical line on there just in case you got to swap it back. There's a bit of they give you options on where to mount it, and so that makes it harder.
Yeah,
and by options, I mean they give you wiggle room that you might not want to have.
Yeah, I took when I was messing with mine, I took one of my box cutters and just made a little tiny scratch on the factory location. That way it would always be there in case I needed to go back with it.
Yeah.
And
Almost 100% guarantee that whatever head you put in there, you're probably going to need to swap out the stock plate for an adjustable height bed.
Yes,
because
it
you're going to need some depth adjustment, even because the few that I've played with, it bumps the focus down a little bit, so you can't even just run it on the stop plate because it gets out of focus. So
yeah, that's why I would recommend that video that I made, because it does go over the fact that when you put that air assist nozzle on there, it's going to change your focus, and you're going to have to do some modifications to how you focus your machine. So you just know that it's going to be an undertaking to do it, but it can be done. Oh,
and it's definitely worth it to, that's one of the things that I mean, the reason they don't put it in there is they're trying to keep it as cheap as possible, keep that price point down. But I feel that if they had some sort of adjustable height bed and air assist on there, that would be a really awesome machine. And I don't feel like either one of those options would increase the cost that much. So,
yeah,
if I was, recommending to them how to make this really more of a plug and play budget laser for people that can't afford or don't want to spend the money on something like a Glowforge or X-Tool P2 or even the White Cloud kind of things. Keep it sub $1,000, but add these two features into it, and I think it would be a really good budget CO2 machine. So
yeah. I ain't gonna lie, I got a little irritated with mine prior to air assist and the adjustable bed. But I used a was it 6 inch? Is it a 6 or 9 inch jack stand, and I engineered it to where I've got a little rotator knob outside the
yep.
enclosure that I can let it up and down with, and I put the air assist on it, and now it does really well, because I can actually, I've learned how to use that little test fire button to set the focus too, because you just hit the test fire button and look at the size of the dot, and you can set it that way if you need to. But I've got a little piece of acrylic, and it seems to be very, very accurate. The one that came with the machine, uh, it works, but like I said, it's just a matter of getting it dialed in. But now that I've got this thing set up like I've got it, cutting acrylic is actually really easy, and that was why I wanted the CO2. It wasn't for wood products; it was strictly for being able to cut clear acrylic and do Christmas ornaments and stuff like that, and it's doing a good job at that now.
Yeah. Yeah, it's definitely an entry level machine that'll leave you wanting a little bit more in some of those. I mean, I think air assist is the bare minimum because that makes the cutting so much better on that machine. Um, really, on any machine. I mean, that's why you see it pretty much standard on diodes now as well. But
Yeah, you can take a mediocre cutting machine and put good air assist on it and make it a good cutting machine.
mhm.
So it is definitely air assist. I tell anybody that if I tell them if you're gonna do anything with a laser, in my opinion, you need air assist, because it also helps keep those pesky lenses clean. So
It does. Yep. Um, so there was a question that we missed a little bit. Norbert was asking ideas or best practices for warning others that you are operating a laser when they come into your space.
use an
Door lock
enclosure.
works.
Yeah, make sure you got it in an enclosure. Uh, which I don't have a whole lot of unwanted visitors in my shop. But I mean, put a sign out. But I still would recommend, if you have kids, grandkids, or anything like that, I would still recommend using an enclosure, or at least some type of barrier, even if it's nothing but one to throw over enclosures like Comgrow or somebody makes. You know, do something especially if you have kids around, because
Yeah, I
that's
mean,
that's bad.
even outside the hazards of the light, I mean, it just helps contain the smoke and allow you to pipe it out better or capture it somehow. So that definitely helps out. And that way, if you don't have it facing the doorway, they walk in, you're like, hey, I'm running the laser. I even have some of my, those cheap glasses they send with all the lasers. I keep these
You
by the
talking
door. Say, hey, put
about,
these on
you
before
talking
you step any
about
closer.
these?
Yeah.
Yeah, I think I've got like 100 pair of them. You got some, yeah. Usually it's, do you want red or green? these are actually the better ones. that they send. These don't look like the Buddy Hollies. These are kind of cool. Look a lot like just regular safety glasses. But yeah, that's why I wound up going with enclosures. And even now, since I redid this other enclosure, that's going to be where I'm doing all my testing and stuff. As I, change everything. Brian, the only issues that I have had with the H since taking the cone off is I ain't got to take it off when I clean it. The shield, I don't have to take it off. And it did help my clearance. I wanted a little more clearance, so I also went and sanded the tip down to right where the airport comes into it to give me another millimeter or so clearance. And so far, it's working great. So. 3mm acrylic. Yes, you can. Certain colors. Color matters.
Yeah, most darker, opaque colors, but the clear, the light, yellow, the translucent ones are going to be most likely a no-go or very difficult. So it won't be a clean cut if you can get through it. So.
Yeah, it melts too. It'll melt and then it'll melt back together and it'll just make like a little raised area on it. I mean, it's a pain. If you're wanting to cut acrylic, if black works for whatever it is you're doing, stick with black. Black acrylic cuts great with most any diode that I have tested. If you want something other than black, I would go with green. Green seems to cut really well, and red cuts good. The other colors, there's some that you can cut, but there's many of them that you're going to just pull your hair out trying.
How much air do we need to use on the Acer Air Assist? I say, when you're cutting, I'll just crank that thing to full as far as the included air pump. When I'm doing engraving, I try to figure out where it's just kind of giving some positive pressure, but not blowing everything everywhere, which helps kind of in your cleanup. Or if you've got the higher power ones, I find when you get into the 20 watt and higher, maybe you've noticed this too, is that you can usually compensate for the air assist with just the power settings, and then you don't have to worry about what your air setting is. You just run it all the time, and that it'll help keep things clean. So
I run mine all the time, and the only time I really back down on my air assist is certain materials. It seems that it sometimes helps the burn a little blacker if you play with the air assist, how much air it's getting. And it's other times, the more air you give it, it burns blacker. So you kind of have to play with that. But most everything, if you run air assist, I'm running 10 psi to my regulators. And if I run air assist, I have really, really good clean cuts and engraves and don't have to worry about it. So.
Yeah, if you're messing with like painted tile and things like that, you want to have air assist on, but too much of it can actually cause some of that debris to splatter all over your cone and create a bit of a mess too. So it's definitely a little bit of a playing with it, but yeah, generally I'll just, for cutting, I just crank it full, and for engraving, it's somewhere around probably 1/3 to a half, give or take. So.
No, Larry, I've never looked at the controller of my P2 because it is my workhorse and it makes a lot of my money for me. So I'm not going to go Frankensteining with it right now. Later, once I get something that I can use to replace the P2, then I might try to do some mods to it, maybe come up with a way of hooking up the M8 if it's possible. But right now, I don't do anything that could, endanger my machine when it's the one I'm using to make money.
Yeah, I haven't popped it open either yet myself. So,
Chris, if you've noticed on most of my videos that I've done of these new machines, I'm testing them now with the compressor they come with, and I'm also testing them with my air from my shop at 10 psi. So you can go back to just about any of the machine videos I've done recently and see what a difference it is. Uh, but a lot of the recent machines, I don't know if you're finding this or not, Steve, but a lot of the recent machines, it seems like the pressures have went up and the flow of these compressors is actually getting better. Uh, I know with the Whizmaker, that compressor actually done a pretty good job.
Yeah, surprising for something this small.
Yeah.
It does do a pretty good job. Um, I don't know if I would put it on par with like the larger one from Atom Stack. That one seems to really pump out a lot of air. But yeah, these are fairly impressive for how well they do. And actually, that's not even the one for the Whizmaker.
I was wondering that looked more like the one for that new Akira or whatever. Yeah.
There's a color difference, and actually, this one's 12 volt. This one's 24.
But they will both run off of 12 or 24, I think. I think it just if it's like the one I got the other day, it says it'll run off of 12 or 24.
Yeah, there's no markings on here to
Yeah, I've got another one over here, and
see.
it's it actually says that it'll output 12 or 24, or input 12 or 24. Uh, Good evening. Had enough? Okay. Yeah, that's a hard name. We need to work on that name a little.
I I just okay. So this is going back to my childhood arcade days, but I always think of Hadouken from Street Fighter.
Mm, uh, well, thank you, Gray. I'm glad somebody appreciates the artistic flair that it took to create this ambiance I have going here.
Gray, we're just not sure if he's got rose petals spread around. He says he doesn't, but
No, I'm trying to not look like every other freaking wood shop. You know what I mean? Because if I turn the big lights on, you'll see. I mean, it's just wood and junk back there. And to be honest with you, it's messy. You can't see the mess.
okay. All right. So I'll have to try this. Let me turn my main shop lights off. Oh wait, actually, I bet you I can do that from here.
Uh,
Let's see here.
Nerd, you've got your lights on a remote switch.
Whatever, boomer. Boom.
Uh, oh,
Oh,
you're gonna
that's
need
bright.
to you're gonna need to adjust your ISO a little bit or turn that light down.
Now, well, let me just turn these back on.
Which I've got my camera set to manual. I'm running the f-stop at 2.5. I'm running a 250 ISO, and the shutter speed is 150. So I had to tune that when I come in here. I could change the shutter speed, and it'll affect the picture. But I kind of settled on 150 right there. It looks pretty cool.
Well, I
And
could just.
yeah, see,
Oh, well,
look.
okay. So you've got cool lighting. Hold on now.
Uh,
I've got cool machines. Look at that. All
well,
right.
I've got machines over there too. You just
But
can't
you're in
see
the
them.
way yet. Let's get you out of the way there. See, cool CNC machine.
Oh, you're killing me. You're killing me. Oh, but yeah, it is. It's different. Yeah, Super Duty. That's what we need to do. We need to start having us a little background competition. uh, well, I've about got the porch cleaned off out front. Uh, I've got another bundle of the insulation installed now, so I've only got like a piece of a bundle left from today. I do have my brooder pen out there currently with my chicks in it that I'm raising up, and I've got the heater moved out, but it's still in the shop. I haven't moved it all the way out. I'm gonna take it up to the mill, and I may try to pour me a little concrete slab and just chimney it straight out the top and have me a little fire pit for wintertime. I don't know that technically I'm a boomer. I'm not that old, guys.
You're only what 2 years older than I am, or something like that.
Yeah, I mean, I'm not that old yet.
You're just
I hope.
a boomer acting Gen Xer.
Well, I was raised up by my dad was actually born in 1940, so I kind of like skipped a generation. You know what I mean? I grew up the way the baby boomers did because my dad was born in the 40s. He was a baby, when things weren't great, and living in the South, being raised by bootleggers, it was tough. So peace and harmony.
Yeah.
That's right.
So there is an actual question here for you. Why do you use millimeters a second instead of per minute when the typical thinking is that per second is for CO2 lasers?
Well, let me put it this way. I started out using LaserBox Basic, which defaulted to millimeters per second because it was originally built for a CO2 laser. I got used to using it. All of the numbers in my head and the way my mind works, it was easier just to stay with it as I moved. But now that lasers have gotten to where the speeds and the power are much faster than they were in the 1.5 and 2.5 watt days, I think the millimeters per second is suitable for diode lasers. But I think it's just kind of one of those things from the past that eventually will go away. Because the reason they did that is because if you had a 1.5 watt laser and you use millimeters per second, there was no variation. Like you couldn't really discern between 1 millimeter a second and 2 millimeters a second. So they used millimeters per minute to kind of stretch that out and give you a little bit more of a variety. Well, now I think we're getting to the point with the 30 and 40 watt machines that millimeters per second is actually going to, millimeters per minute will work, but I just think that millimeters per second is just going to be a little more suitable. And like I said, I just got started that way and I've just kind of stuck with it. So I just have to remember times 60 for you guys. But that's it. I mean, it really, that's the whole thing. Is my first laser was an X tool that used LaserBox Basic.
Yeah. And oddly enough, I was used to millimeters. Actually, going way back, I was used to inches per minute off the CNC, and then I had to start converting millimeters per second when I got my CO2 laser to compare it to my CNC router. There's another one for you, Brian. And then I kind of the same for you. The first diode laser I used was the X Tool 10 watt, which it defaulted to millimeters a second. So it kind of made sense. But then as I started working with other people and a few other lasers, they were all working in millimeters per minute. And it does give you some extra granularity rather than, okay, well, you could go 5.5 millimeters per second versus, the equivalent in millimeters per minute. It's all math, so they can work. But yeah, it's I agree with you. I think as the diodes get a little more powerful and can move more effectively at those speeds, it'll probably migrate all back to millimeters a second. It's just it'll take a while to get people moving over.
Oh yeah. Well,
so
Norbert, if it's going to be a Christmas thing, you need to be doing spring projects. I would say, if it's going to be in November, if it's going to be in October or November, then or even early December, you could probably sell some ornaments and stuff like that. I do a lot of Christmas ornaments, like pet ornaments are really popular. Like if you can make ornaments that have a Dalmatian or a Yorkie or a whatever the popular dog is in your area, people will buy them. Oh, and I don't make but like $5 off of them, just a plain one. But I usually make them out of like scrap material when I'm sitting down here messing around. So, what do you think, Steve? What's your Christmas items that you sell a lot of?
Yeah, I try to find more, local things. So here, it'd be ornaments that are, based around, the Minnesota shape, or even like our area code is 507. You can play around with that, and that's even more a year round kind of thing. Um, I try to keep them to be a little more unique to the area, whatever's popular here, or whatever's kind of, regionally identifiable, but mixed in with the Christmas flair kind of thing. So do I have one out here? Just adding, um, I make just year round. I have like these Minnesota home plates that it just says home, but the O is the state shape, and you can do that for anything. So, flip that for Christmas, or even just do. I mean, that's something you can sell at a Christmas fair, but it's something that people would advertise year round, or display year round and such. Another thing that I've played around with is you can do little candy dishes. You make a sleigh, like a three-dimensional sleigh that glues together, but it's made out of 1/8 inch plywood or other material, and then people can drop in their Christmas candy in it, and it's kind of the more ornate kind of decorative sleigh you'd see in a from a Santa thing or a Hallmark movie kind of thing. But uh, otherwise, I've also done the little. I did a video on tea light candle holders, and those are great because you just put whatever the theme is. So I made um, like a snowflake on one side and maybe a Christmas tree on another side. You can mix that up as well, and then you just put one of those LED tea lights in there. I put in some, I think it was maybe even just wax paper or something to be as a diffuser, so that it would kind of glow from that. So that's the kind of thing that you can use that base object of a tea light holder and just put whatever the season is. You can make the Halloween lanterns out of them, then you can make the Christmas lanterns out of them, and then Easter and such. So
Yeah, no, gray. It very well could be because I had to change my audio settings around a little bit earlier. Uh, like I said, I'm using my older laptop, so I'm not taking it too hard right now. Once I get the new laptop in here, I think it'll fix a lot of the issues. This machine's just it ain't quite as powerful as my other one. I underestimated its strength.
so
Yes, I take credit cards. Go ahead, Steve.
so
I'll let
what?
you. I'll let you explain your process.
uh, Yeah, so I have used a couple in the past. Square's fairly popular and easy to get set up with, but if you have a website that ties in with anything, I would try to use the same vendor for that. So for one of my past websites, I did a lot through PayPal because people are comfortable and used to that. And then I had a PayPal here reader. Well, now they've moved over to Zettle, and so you can use that. And that works fairly well. They even have, you can put in your stock items, you can have your inventory, and then a good one will also then be able to interface with Squarespace sites and sometimes Etsy and others as well. So depending on what you're doing, if you are just doing in-person sales, research some of the more popular ones of Square, Zettle, and there's a third one that's escaping me right now. See which one works, which you're comfortable with, and maybe it will tie in. Or if you're like I say, if you're already using PayPal, it's pretty cheap and free to sign up for their. I think you have to pay for their card reader, which is going to be roughly maybe $40, give or take. But sometimes they give you a discount on your first one. So and I think depending on the company, sometimes you have. You might have to have so many transactions and they might hold on to it, but once you have enough of them, they'll usually allow you to get access pretty timely to your money. I mean, generally it's next day or the day after at most, depending on how that goes. But yeah, as Norbert brought up Venmo, there's a lot of people who like to use Venmo. Um, that is just another branch of PayPal, which kind of makes it funny when people won't use PayPal, but they'll use Venmo. So you can do that as well, and maybe even just design up a QR code that has the pay here, and they can just scan it on their phone from your little pay station. So
Yeah, I use QuickBooks for all my business accounting and invoicing of my commercial customers and everything. And so for $50, I get a point of sale that does it'll do swipe, it'll do the chip cards as well as Apple Pay and the proximity payment plans or whatever. Uh, and what it does is it actually automatically generates an entry in my books. It automatically adjusts to the tax rate of whatever municipality I'm in based on the GPS of my iPad. And so you just basically set this little hockey puck looking thing on the table. It connects wirelessly to my iPad, and then people can tap, swipe, insert whichever way they need to do it. And it automatically puts everything in my accounting software, and it will even create an invoice or a receipt or whatever and email it to them if I so choose. Most of the time, I just do cash sale as far as the customer's name or whatever, so that it doesn't send them an invoice. I've got it set up not to send invoices to that particular customer. But I do have a Square, but I've never used it. It just sits there because everybody just uses the QuickBooks reader.
yeah, and that's a great way to do it. But I think it's definitely when you're beyond the hobbyist doing a couple craft fairs a year kind of thing.
Yeah, I think for what they're wanting, I think the Square, like you said, the Square
Yeah.
or PayPal will actually send you a reader if I'm not mistaken too.
Yeah, PayPal they switched. They recently they used to do their PayPal here with the reader. Now they've partnered up with Zettle to do all that stuff. So, um, but yeah, it's fairly simple. Goes right into your account, your PayPal account, like the rest of your stuff. Um, but I'm finding more and more people are used to Venmo as well. So if you have that set up, it definitely can help make a sale that might not have been. So
Yeah, I've got a lot of a lot of the orders I get through my Facebook page lately. People will actually, when I give them a quote on how much it's going to cost, I've got folks that'll just go ahead and it'll be like, boom, PayPal money received, which is
mhm.
nice because you don't have to worry about, am I going to make this for this person and then them not pick it up? Because if they don't pick it up at that point, I don't care.
Yeah,
I've already been paid. So if you don't
yep.
come pick it up, that's cool. Which most of the time I meet people in town because I do live 15 minutes from town. But a lot of the people that I do stuff for, they know where I live and they pass by here going to friends and family's houses, and so they'll just schedule a time to come pick it up.
Yeah, yeah, you are out there.
Yeah, but it's so nice. It's quiet.
It's the
Hey,
creepy banjo music in the woods that just kind of was making me kind of wonder.
I really wish I could have got my daughter to get out an instrument and had played that as you would come up the driveway, but it didn't. She didn't. Do 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 do.
So, yeah, you're coming up on the craft fair season there. Isn't month of June the big one for the peach fair stuff?
Oh yeah, yeah. I will be at the downtown Clanton events the first Friday in June. Selling. I'll be set up and actually selling it the first Friday. Depending on how much stuff I have left, if I don't get complete, if I get wiped out of the stuff, I probably won't go back for the second one to sell. But I will be there. I will be present for all like the first 3 Fridays in June. I'll be up there, probably be making some videos, hanging out, meeting with people, and then the Peach Jam's coming up. I think on the 24th, and we're gonna have music and all that. I'm gonna be set up. I've got Klein's gonna come help me run the booth so that I don't get overwhelmed. He's gonna bring some of his stuff and just kind of taxi along as as a Clack Shack affiliate. So, and help me manage it and talk to people. So, if you're going to be in the area, come check it out. I know you're probably not going to be.
No, I'm heading a different direction for vacation around that time. So
Had enough. Yeah, I'm just gonna start calling you Had. How about that? Uh, well, why is it not showing the? There it goes. No, you cannot while it's running that I know of, unless Steve knows a trick. Steve, any tricks?
mm, no, it's kind of a stop and restart kind of thing.
Yeah,
So
yeah. Uh, I appreciate it, Gray. If the video did really well. I was me and Steve talk about it all the time. Sometimes you make that video and you're like, man, this video is going to be awesome. Everybody's going to want to watch it. And then you throw it out there and it's just crickets. But then other times you make a video and you're like, well, it's a decent video. I would watch it, but it's probably not going to do that great. And that one surprised me. It actually did really well. Had some pretty good input, some reviews, and I was kind of happy about that because I haven't had a chance to put out a whole lot of content, and it's uh, it's hurting.
yeah, I got to remind myself of that it seems to be the spur of the moments. Hey, I'm doing this. I should record it and make a video of it. Things that end up doing really well.
Yeah,
Whereas the ones that I overthink it and put too much into it, um, those are the ones that yeah don't always perform as great. Example, my the one I did on EVA foam, I just happened to need to cut this stuff for an order of some items. And I was like, well, this is something that people would like probably be curious that you can do. And so I recorded it and I tested a few more colors I had on hand, and it's done really well. So
yeah, yeah. It seems like the more effort you put into a video and like the more planning, the worse it does. I don't know why that is, but anyway,
yeah, it's you know, both Gray and Brian are kind of mentioning that they want some real substance, some knowledge, and the how tos. They do really well. They because there are people. I was listening to a podcast of a guy who's been on YouTube for 15 years, and he kind of summed it up as that your video needs to have one of three things. It has to have some knowledge they're looking for, and if that's the case, they'll be interested because they're looking for that. Or it has to be a really interesting, unique thing that they haven't seen anywhere else, and it captures their interest. Or you have to have just a really good personality that they're there just watching you for you.
oh well, I got that.
Uh huh. But that's just it. That's why like how-to videos tend to do pretty well because someone's out there searching like how do I cut acrylic with a laser, or how do I engrave leather, or how do I set my power settings and such, and or the uh, things to consider before buying a laser, things like that do tend to do well because they're generic enough, and it's kind of some knowledge transfer that people like. And so um, sometimes the problem for me is just stopping and thinking about, what is that less complex thing that someone's probably, wanting that concise information on. So,
No, Brian, I'm actually growing it out to see how long I can get it before it starts looking really crappy. I've never grown it this long before, so it's either gonna get really crappy and I'm gonna shave it or cut it, or my wife is gonna strongly recommend that I cut it. I'm not sure which is gonna happen first.
well, it's not a real Viking beard until you can braid it. So,
Yeah, no, Brian. If I did that, it'd get like 10,000 immediately. But no, like I said, I enjoy making videos. It's just a bonus when people actually like watching them. Because I mean, sometimes you get busy with with trying to put a video together or whatever. But a lot of those, it's the ones that you just come in the shop and it's like, okay, I'm gonna do this today. I'm gonna make a video. I enjoy those. A lot of times the machine videos can get a little bit redundant unless it's a machine that I really want to try out. Uh, so I've kind of cut back on some of those because there's nothing that's really like grabbing my attention. Uh, I am really kind of more tuned to the project videos and showing you guys how to do stuff. And I try to make it simple enough that people that are just starting out and people that don't necessarily have, all the biggest tools can do projects, make a little money, and then maybe save up for those bigger tools. That's what I'm doing. I'm saving up for a CNC because I got these friends that keep guilt tripping me into getting one. So I'm having to save my money up to get one. So
Yeah. Yeah, no, I do try to keep that in mind too. I have acquired some nicer tools over the years, but I try not to rely on them for certain things. Just knowing that for some people, they'll get tripped up on that. Like, oh, well, I don't have a big cabinet table saw. Like, well, you don't need that. You could use a job site one, or you could use, a circular saw. So I try to make sure that I use try to keep the project simple so that people can do it. But
yeah. Well, yeah, Dottie. Dottie says she likes the bee stuff, and that's one reason. And me and Steve talked about this before. I know a lot of people are like, "Oh, you shouldn't be putting this bee stuff on your channel. It's all about lasers." But it's not. I mean, the channel started originally about sales. I mean, well, let's see. Back in 2012, when I started it, it was a lot of video gaming and game modifications and network modifications for video gaming, and it has just kind of transformed over the years. So it's more or less a whole bunch of stuff that I do. Uh, I would do more videos of other stuff, but cameras get in the way, and I tend to do stupid stuff like fall or break something when I'm recording myself. So I don't like videotaping myself when I'm on a ladder because Murphy's Law is going to cause me to have a viral video that I didn't really want of me falling off a ladder. So I try to avoid that.
yeah, yeah, I could have spent this weekend videotaping a bunch of not real airplanes like I used to.
Well, you're just sensitive about that, Steve. I got up too early this morning.
Well, so I stayed up too late. Was it Friday night? There's been a lot of solar activity this year, and so there's a page that is managed by one of the Minneapolis area TV stations called That's So Minnesota, and they encourage people to share photos of beautiful things around Minnesota. Well, lately it blows up every time the Northern Lights start ticking off, and so I started seeing these photos come through. I was editing videos the other night, and they were sharing this like, oh yeah, it's really firing off, and it's getting even into the southern part of the state where I live. So I was like, well, all right, fine. I skipped the other times. I'm going to go out and drive and see if I could see them. And so I drove about 20 minutes to get out of the city I'm in and stare at the sky in the middle of nowhere and went, well, nope, can't see them. So
Yeah, give me.
made myself stay up late and drive an extra 40 minutes just for nothing. But
Yeah, I'm trying to add another camera.
yeah,
There
you're breaking everything.
added. There is. They're asking me about my clearance on my machine. If I can get it to cooperate with me, I may have put too much on my little machine. There we go. But yeah, the white balance is off, but that's inside the enclosure. But I thought you could. You can't. But yeah, the nozzle is off of that machine. That's my overhead camera in my big enclosure. And that video is terrible. It needs adjusting. But
Mhm.
oh, look at there! Look at all that room back there. Got that heater out of here. Hey, what are you doing?
Um, so there was a question
I
about
I can go ahead and remove that
the
camera. That was terrible.
shield. There we go. Had enough okays asking if you take the shield off for more clearance to material.
That I can take the shields off of the Acer, the Atom Stack, X Tool. You know, some of them you can't take off without power tools. But if I can take them off, I take them off usually. Now, some of these new machines with the Z-axis, that is not going to be an option because even if you take the shield off, you still have that sensor sticking down to the point to where it's going to be in the way. So that's the only negative that adjustable Z-axis machines is that the probe or the sensor or whatever typically sticks down even with the shield. So even if you take the shield off, it's still there. So that's something to consider when you're looking at these different machines. But now I have found that most of these machines you can raise them up out of focus, and it really doesn't have that big of an effect.
So I also do it when when you're trying to, especially on like a rotary, when you're trying to find real top dead center of that cup to your laser, or trying to make sure that a smaller custom item, double checking the alignment with the frame, things like that. I'll remove them if it's working on it at home and in an enclosure like that. But if I'm taking it out mobile where other people are going to be around and I don't have as much security, I try to make sure they're back on. But yeah, I find it just gets in the way. It also can have an issue of trapping some of that smoke if you don't have as much air movement through there. It can linger in there a little bit longer. So moving it out allows the air to move past that cone easier and such. So it's really just there as a safety feature. It's not needed for anything short of now you're seeing the the probes for the auto Z-axis stuff. So
Yeah, well, my situation is different because when I'm out doing stuff in public, I have my little portable enclosure and it has the laser safe glass on it. I don't have to worry about it at all.
yeah. Brian, I don't currently use one very often because the enclosures that I'm using don't necessarily support them. But I'm hoping that this summer, fall time, I'm going to be building a larger extended laser in an enclosure out here. And then, yeah, I'll be playing around with it more again. Just the stuff I do is generally it's cutting out of a sheet good, and I don't necessarily need to place something exactly off of that. I'm usually just making sure I'm framing the sheet good, and then then I know it's in there. So
Here's my other camera. If it'll work, it's not gonna work. Too many cameras.
well, yeah, as I
But
say,
yeah, I just took it off. Visit you in the winter and build and.
yes,
I'm not going up there during the winter.
I'm not sure I even want to be on this job in the winter.
Steve's been talking about coming here during the winter.
Yeah, yeah,
It's gonna
let's
be
save some vacation time.
a tropical vacation. But yeah, now wintertime up there is rough. Whew.
Yeah,
I need an energy drink.
it can be. This one was an extra long winter, and so it was abnormal and a lot of snow. So there's that. But here's a question about one of your jigs.
Cut our templates off 1 inch higher than the waist board. Grid. What does he mean by? I'm not following. What's up with the grid? Well, my mouse is doing some weird stuff. Oop. Let's see. Let me see if I'm reading this right. I may be missing something. 1 inch higher than the waist board. As long as you've got the jig kit connected to the legs, that's perfectly fine. The whole idea of the kit is that it connects to the machine. I guess I will add another source here. Each one that I make, it is for whatever machine that, of course, it's listed as being for. And each one of them connects to the legs of said machine, which allows you to know that it's going to be exactly where it's supposed to be every time. And not camera. The enclosure with the 2 trees right now. And
I mean,
always put Steve.
I've got my theories.
Yeah, but once it's not showing a good picture. It's because I've got it's cropping like for some reason.
Portion of it.
Oh, hang on. Yeah, it is actually the square. All right, that's better. This is just there, and you can see that. But once you put it on the machine, take that thing out, put it back, take it out, put it back, take it out, put it back. It is always going to be exactly the same spot. Just above where you can see the laser head, that's the 2 trees. You can see the laser head right there in the top left corner. But just above there is the locking teeth, and they stay in place.
Did we lose your audio? We can't hear you right now. At least I can't. You went and tried to get fancy, and now we can't hear you. Well, I'll let you. Hopefully, can everybody still hear me, or did we just lose him? Well, I guess we'll let him figure out his audio. Meanwhile, someone was asking about cut settings for 1/4 inch, 1/4 brick plywood for an 8er. Trying to see if I have. So it's going to kind of depend on what your plywood is. I've used a few different varieties. This is your typical plywood from Home Depot. It's 1/4 inch. And this is on a 20 watt, and it tops out around 500 millimeters a minute on down to 300 at 60% power, 300 millimeters a minute. So that would be kind of a starting range to look at, but you'll probably want to run a test on it because I've found, various plywoods, they have different thicknesses of core, different types of middle stuff. So your mileage can vary on that. It sounds like maybe you got your audio back.
Yeah, for some reason, do you? Is it working?
Well, I can kind of hear you, but you're choppy again.
Here.
I can hear you. It's still a little choppy. Yeah, Brian says we can hear you if you don't talk.
All right. Is it working now?
Yeah, I'm not sure. Yeah. Can you not? Are you unable to hear me again?
No, I can hear you. I don't know what happened. I stood up and moved over here, and something went wrong. I don't know. I'm gonna quit adding video feeds. This computer can't handle it.
Yeah.
This computer is having a hard time with that.
Okay. Well, we can hear and mostly see you now. So.
Can you?
Well, I mean, you're still sitting in the dark, but yeah.
Well, that's good. Yeah, like I said, I'm gonna play with this setup a little bit. I'm not in the dark. It's actually quite nice in here.
Yes,
It's
rose
pretty
petals
well
and all.
lit where I'm sitting. No, I haven't lost the connection, wireless connection. It's yeah, no, I've got my eye on a computer, which I've got a laptop in the house. And I may bring it out here, that gaming laptop that I use for my birds. And I may bring it out here, start using it, and just buy me a new one for inside. But yeah. Well, that's this shirt right here. If it's somebody's green, this is a safety yellow shirt that I wear when I'm doing my drone work, so that I can pick myself out real easily as I'm flying around with the drone, and people can see me and know that I'm the guy that's flying the bird. Has wine sitting on? No, I don't have any wine. If I had something, it probably wouldn't be wine. But I don't have anything. I'm not drinking. Well, I was drinking sweet tea, but I ran out. I'm contemplating getting a bottle of water out of the refrigerator. All right, so did I miss a question? I'm gonna quit adding cameras to the machine because it is not liking it at all.
There was one question I was trying to cover that was asking about the Aitzer, 20-watt Aitzer, how it was cutting 1/4. It said brick, but maybe it was birch plywood. I don't know. So I was giving him some examples.
Yeah, I heard you say 1/4 brick. I was wondering who's cutting bricks with lasers. They must have that new 80-watt. Now you're getting all pixelated, looking like Mario over there. I don't know what's going on. That's what I call karma right there, guys. Karma. That's what you're seeing right now. This is karma because Steve and Brian like to mess with me about mine. Oh, that's awesome. But now 1/4-inch birch. I'm trying to look for that comment, but this thing's not letting me scroll real well.
Yeah, it was just basically some settings on 1/4-inch birch plywood on the Aitzer P20. So
yeah, I've got an old decommissioned Dell server in the house in there, but it doesn't have a video card in it. I'm not too sure. It's an older one, so I don't know how well it would do. I've thought about bringing it out here, powering it up, and seeing what it'll do with video processing. They said I stole your focus.
Now it should hopefully be improving here. It was just like some weird network congestion stuff because I haven't been playing with things.
Well, I moved my entire setup over to a different computer. So if all that I had problems with was that little bit of audio and limited to how many machines I could add, that's good. But I did it so you guys could see light burn because now my light burn is clear, guys. Look, y'all were complaining that light burn was foggy and that it was important. It is now clear. So that's that's why I did it. I did it for you guys. So as Steve makes fun of me, just know I did it for y'all. Hey, Steve, as long as your video stays like that, it makes mine look better. So I'm good with it.
Hey, it should be improving. I'm no longer in the yellow with my network.
Yeah. Well, I'm going to run another Cat 5 cable to where I'm sitting also and do a hard wire on this machine. Guys, this is a work in progress. I had planned on doing most of my lives from inside the house. But then, of course, as y'all know, when y'all ask me a laser question and I'm in the house, I can't really pick up something and show you. So I've had to kind of create myself a studio out here of sorts in my workspace while maintaining a workspace, and it's a tricky balance. Yeah, I stole some of your focus. That's why I'm so clear.
Yeah, well, I actually have a couple of Cat 6 cables running out here to this shop, so I just don't have them plugged in right now. So I'll maybe do that for next week to help out. Wouldn't want you to take my focus away.
Well, see, I've got the two Cat 6 drops that come out here, and I've got a switch above the door over there, and I just haven't ran a hard wire over to here and down. I've got one that I usually use over in the center of the room, but I didn't bring it over here. So there's that. I don't know why I didn't while I was at it, but I didn't. But anyway. But I've still got 800 or something megs, even on Wi-Fi 6.
Mm-hmm.
All right. Any questions, comments, concerns? Anybody want to say anything bad about Steve's beard? Oh, look, my move goal. Look, Steve. Look right there. My move goal. I got a medal today, up 200%.
I don't know. All we've seen you doing is sitting around. So,
well, trust me, I was moving a lot earlier.
Did you have the watch tied to the cat or something?
No, I was out there. I was out there climbing up down that ladder all day long.
Well, we actually just hit 525 people in our laser engraving community on Facebook. So if you are on Facebook and want to hang out and share, ask questions there, just drop the link there for people to join up. And I'll even drop it over for people watching off my channel. Should be in the chats there. It's a good group of people. We try to keep it filtered of any spam and junk. But there's been people sharing projects, sharing ideas, asking questions and such, and we try to poke in there as often as we can. But other people are also giving their input and feedback. So it's just a fun group that grew out of this live stream past couple months, and we like to see it continue to grow. So if like I say, if you are on Facebook and you want to join, go ahead and connect up there with us.
Yep. Well, Brian, checking on my health over here. It says I'm at 8,387, which seems awfully low because I usually get 8,000 on a regular day. But yeah, that's what it says. Scott, simple answer is I just like the design better. I don't know. Dovetails, squares, rectangles. I just liked it. It was easier. It was a little easier for my mind to comprehend and to work. It has multiple points of, I guess you could say, retention to keep it from moving, and it works. I try to go with the KISS approach, and The way my mind worked when I imagined that file, that's just the way that I decided to do it. I mean, it's not like any big reason, I don't guess. Oh no, it's not bad for an old guy, Steve. My scales aren't even calling me obese anymore. Oh, they only call me overweight now. Even with all the weight from the beard. Uh,
There you go. There's a question for you.
oh, yep. Well, Beaver Creek, that is a complicated question. No, you can't really. You're not going to lure them out if that's what you're thinking. You're not going to put some honey out there and have them up and pack all their stuff and move into that hive. That doesn't happen. What you're going to have to do, unfortunately, is you're going to have to do a demo extraction, because if you do not get the entire hive out of there, and if you do not get the queen, then they'll be right back, and you'll just be catching swarms year after year after year after year. I'm guessing they're probably in the eaves on the outside of the roof, or are they actually inside the walls? Because typically they're going to get in the eaves, like the overhang outside the house. But I have a bee vacuum, which is basically a modified shop vac that sucks them up into a hive. And you can extract them that way, but you still have to go in with a knife and cut out all the honeycomb and stuff like that. And if you're considering killing the bees by spraying them, do not do that, because you will cause more trouble, more problems doing that than if you get the bees out, because then you'll have a couple 100,000 decomposing bees and pounds of larvae and contaminated honey that's just going to sit in your walls and ferment and rot and start growing yucky mold and stuff like that. So you're either going to want to leave them alone and let them keep doing what they do and hope they stay alive, or get somebody to come out and remove them. But you could probably get a lot of honey if they've been in there for a while. Pine says one time at a place. One at a time. Huh? Not following. Oh, talking about scales. Yeah, my scales call me. They called me obese, but I'm like on that line between obese and overweight, which is strange, because if I'm overweight, some other people I know are in trouble.
So was that you just kind of like stood up straighter to get some height so that your weight was balanced out more?
No, I've tried that. It doesn't work. It don't matter how straight you stand or squat down or anything like that. You still weigh the same.
Well, yeah, but
Oh,
if you're taller, then it's calculating that you should be a little bit heavier, so it gives you more pounds before
yeah,
you put into that obese level.
yeah, but you have to put your weight in there or your height in there, and so you can't cheat on that.
Well, sure you can. You can just say that you're 6'5", even though I know you're not.
I'm not 6'5".
I got
No,
photographic
sir.
proof.
What is this noise I keep hearing? I've either got an animal trying to get in my shop or something out there. I'm going to go check on my guineas.
So, well, any final questions for the night from people, or?
Yeah, it's getting a little quiet, guys. Y'all have learned way too much, because nobody's asking any seriously, like, deep questions anymore.
Well, that's why we need to get you that CNC machine. You can start asking questions about that.
I don't know if my brain can handle a CNC at the moment. I've got to get some of this other stuff. I got to get my shop put back together and get these stove covers built. I got one completely done this afternoon after I got through with the installation, and I got 3 of them cut and engraved that I've got to put together. I actually got one. I think I got one put all the way. Yeah, I've got one with the back and the sides put together, but I've got to stain it and put the handles on it and everything. So,
Yeah.
waffles, popcorn.
Yeah, I've got I've got the list of my projects. I've got things that Carla's asked about too. And of course, summer gets filled up with everything else I want to do, like playing with my fake airplanes. Um,
You are really stuck on that, guy. Stuck. Well, hey, my wife actually was nice enough to me that yesterday she cut the grass for me while I was tearing the tin off of the building. So, there we go.
Darren's got a good eye.
Yep, it's a left-handed screw.
Yeah. Yeah, no. So this is a design that came from the I like to make stuff group, and I don't know if they put that in intentionally to see how many would comment on it or what, but yeah, it is actually a backwards turning screw. So it's just one of those, it's one of those safety bolts you put into an exterior um, hinge. It's got the it only lets you screw it in one way, and it's going the wrong way. So if someone tries to remove it, they're all backwards, and it doesn't have the bite on there. So
Yeah, he said I've got my fake airplane shirt on. Yeah, but mine's not an airplane; it's a quad. It's a little, He said he said he was flying planes. I didn't know if he was actually flying, like, he done went and bought himself a jet or something. I was going to tell him that I needed him to pick me up, take me down to the beach or something. But he got offended because he thought I was talking bad about his RC craft, and I just was curious if when he said he was out flying, if he was like literally flying, or if he was like flying with his thumbs.
yes, no, it's funny. I've had other people make that same comment about, like, real airplanes or not. I'm like, no, they're just imaginary ones.
Yeah, I hear you.
But
Yeah, I've got my own little fake helicopter, I guess you could call it. Maybe get that thing out now that everything's green around here and take some pictures once I get where I can get all the grass cut at the same time.
So, we do have a quick question we can answer before we go. Robert's asking, where's a good place to go for making logos for leather patches?
Mm.
And you use the Adobe suite, the Express stuff for a lot of things.
Mm-hmm.
So, but one thing that there's a similar product out there. It's called Canva, that will allow you to do some basic stuff for free. And so they'll have layouts for posters or YouTube thumbnails or Facebook posts or Instagram posts, and they do have some templates in there that will have various script and other things that you can modify. So that would be something to play around with. If you are not creative at all and you just need one or two, there are definitely those sites like Fiverr where you can reach out to people that freelance, and they'll charge you so much to make some logos for you and such. And they're not terribly expensive, but if you're doing it quite often, it's definitely something you're going to want to find some software to do. But yeah.
Yeah, I've actually gotten now to where I do a lot of mine. I just make them in Lightburn.
Sure. Yeah. Yeah. A lot of it just comes down to playing around with fonts and then, maybe adding a border and such. So, some ideas there, but.
Yeah, Chris, I got you on that. I realized it once I said it. I got Steve mixed up, and I didn't realize how sensitive he was about that. But next time I will make sure that I use the politically correct method of asking that.
Hey, now that you can make a full sky, you can make a full size airplane be remotely controlled just as much.
Yeah, well, I guess I should. What it should be, full size or scale? Maybe that's the way I should say it.
Well, no, you're not clarifying there.
Oh, me. Yeah, there's a lot of people, and we have a lot of folks putting, geez. we have a lot of folks that'll jump into the laser engraving community page, and they come in there, and I know it when I let them in a lot of times because they're a member of 456 groups. But I'm trying to give everybody a fair chance, and but they'll come in there and start, put your graphic here to have a logo made or whatever. And I try to get rid of them as soon as I see that going on, because it's not like it's you guys offering your services. It's somebody that's, they're just coming in there just for that reason.
Yeah. Yeah, I've nixed a few as well, even without warning. If I see similar patterns to them, I'm going, oh no, you're not here to add, you're just doing that. So
yeah,
but we try to stay on top of it there. But
yeah, best we can. But sometimes they'll get the post out there before I find it. But when I find it, I usually hit them pretty quick. But
yeah. So yeah, well, hopefully this week I have a couple videos that'll be coming out. One will be a project video with the Wizmaker, and then I do definitely hope to get some information out on that IKEA machine as well. So definitely keep an eye on my channel for that. If you've been wanting some information on the IKEA, I hope to have that out soon. And then I really do hope to get it back into some project videos, get some inspiration flowing for others out there. So hopefully those go over well. People appreciate them, and yeah, if you have questions or comments or ideas for stuff, drop them into that group or message us on our various pages and platforms, and that helps inspire and give us ideas for things that people are looking for. But it's also roaring into summer, so I will take the nice days and run outside and get a little sunburned and play with my fake airplanes.
Oh my gosh, let it go. Let it go. All right, guys. Like I said, I appreciate you stopping by. I can't quit yawning. I'm about to stand up and move around or something. Maybe it's the lighting. I just have a hard time staying awake in here. But I hope my video, for the most part, I understand this machine's not doing what it's supposed to. Hopefully, I'll have my other one in here next week, if all goes well. And we can try that and see if that works any better. But until next time, guys, be safe and have a good day.
We'll see y'all.